I could do it all day.
I do like it. I want to learn how to do the whistle where you can like hail a cab. Not that that's a thing anymore.
I think you need to bear a child before you unlock that whistle.
It does feel like a mom thing where they're like, it's like almost like adrenaline hits and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I can't do it either. Trust me. I've been trying.
I think if we watched a YouTube video, there's like a mechanic to it that you could figure it out.
Yeah, also the whistle where you can go like blow through your thumbs and like do like little hand flute.
I can do the blade of grass whistle. It kind of sounds pathetic, kind of like my other whistle, which is just like.
That's your only note.
Yeah, it's the extension of my whistling.
Yeah, I remember when you were practicing that for maybe even years, and you would just go around our apartment. Like you probably heard a song in your head, but it just sounded like one note being repeated to me. It sounded like a Neil Young solo.
That's how I sing. Like when I'm like trying to sing, and I don't have like the depth or notes. I'm just like, it's very monotone.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about you is when you try to sing, it's like that. But when you don't, and you're just like off the cuff, like, oh yeah, like this, you can do it. It's so weird. It's so weird.
It's not that weird, given I'm the girl who has the yips.
No, we're gonna banish that. We're gonna banish that from the record. Well, maybe you do have the yips. You over here drooling all over yourself?
No, it's just weird.
Take the top off that thing.
Yeah.
We're drinking some green tea. We're out of control.
Oh yeah, getting hyped.
Yeah.
Still keeping that sober life strong. I mean, besides edibles, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Let's get the update right out of the way.
Oh yeah, the update is I'm a month nicotine and smoke free.
Congratulations.
Yeah, today would be a month since I stopped all that.
Fuck yeah.
And it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going back. Definitely not going back to nicotine. What a stupid, expensive habit, you know?
I never got it. I mean, I'd do one of those and it'd make me literally nauseous, so.
Well, when you need it, you overcome the odds.
Yeah, you're like, nausea is a little better than anxiety, so.
You know what I see people talking a lot of trash about on the internet is Kratom.
It's one of those, isn't it? And we've known this for a while. We have friends who have had issues with Kratom. We understand that there are issues to be had with Kratom. We've had it. I wouldn't say we've had issues with Kratom, but we've gone through bouts where we're doing Kratom on a daily basis, and then we're like, oh, on the days we don't do Kratom, it's a little hard to get going. Mm-hmm. But that's like the way it would be if you drank coffee every day and then you didn't have a cup of coffee. Yeah. It'd be like a little hard to get going. So dramatically, we weren't that affected. But
the amount of trash talk I see about it.
Well, I think people got really hyped and thought it was like anything you put on a pedestal is a savior drug will eventually have a downside or it'll become clear. Yeah. So what are people saying?
Well, first of all, avoid the extracts. Those
are really strong.
Yeah. So, I think it's crazy. I read a lot about this week. I just fell down the rabbit hole of just reading about all addictions. I think it's helping me, kind of like how AA meetings help people. Is like when I see a Reddit thread that's like, what are you currently addicted to? And just going through and, seeing the things I can relate with and the things that aren't that relatable. And surprisingly, as somebody who's known about and done Kratom for like maybe 10 years, almost 10 years, I think, I can't relate a lot with what the people are saying about it.
Well, you've never played around in the territory of dosage. Like, we've gone to a Kratom bar like once or twice where we're like, oh, shoot, we did like 7 grams of Kratom and you're puking.
I puked.
So it's not... Yeah. You've never built a tolerance up for it. You never got in a habitual thing.
But kind of like what you were saying about nicotine is why I thought of it. It's because like you're like, whoa, this is garbage. This makes me feel like shit. How can people do this? Yeah, I could see how people could puke off Kratom and be like, I need to go back to that.
I mean, that's exactly what happened to you with nicotine.
Yeah.
You would the first time you do it in a while, you'd puke, and then you'd be like, give me another one of those.
Yeah.
I think the most astute point that you've had about, or realization that it seems like you've had about your nicotine pouch habits was that the only high you really got was the first one you did of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the day, you're just chasing that. And I think...
You're not even chasing it. You're staving off a withdrawal symptom.
Right, yeah.
Which to me is like just lack of patience, you know? And it's also crushing any form of boredom creeping up on you. And I don't know why I don't know why I was averse to that for so long when I was embracing of it for so long before that.
You've always say to me, like, I need to be able to get bored.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's an important thing to just kind of space out and have nothing to do. What a privilege, what a pleasure to have a life where you have space to be bored.
Definitely.
So yeah, I don't know why I don't know why I got into a habit of not wanting to feel that or being haunted by it. So.
Well, when you have a lot of feelings, there's a lot of feelings you don't want to feel. Boredom's just like one of the many feelings.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the crazy thing is, like, my nicotine habit started with Hape, which I had never had any form of tobacco in my life, and someone blew Hape up my nose. Good dude, you know, but sent me on a bit of a path, and it's crazy because I think back to that moment, and it's like, it's such an overwhelming thing when you get hit with some Hape for the first time.
I saw our Hape today, and I was like, kind of miss that.
Well, I mean, you can do whatever, whenever. I can't, because I know me.
Yeah.
It would have to be an extraordinary emergency.
We had a pack of the Zins.
Yeah.
And I hid them somewhere, and now I can't even remember where. I was like, well, I need these on standby. Not that I need them, but like, I'm like, I could sneak one of these once in a while. Sean doesn't need to know about it, and
Yeah.
I'll probably just never do it because I'll forget. But.
You have a healthy approach to things, because you can, and it's weird because I can apply it to certain drugs, certain things. Like, I have a healthy approach to, even Kratom. I mean, like, people are talking about this drug like it's the darkest force going right now. And in a way, I could see how it is because
it's socially acceptable.
It's socially
opiates.
acceptable. It's opiates.
Yeah.
It's socially acceptable. It's advertised on a lot of podcasts that are getting themselves out to young men.
Oh, I mean, I could go. Don't remind me to go back on. Continue the conversation of being frustrated about what gets advertised and who advertises what.
You want to put a pin in that one?
Put a pin in that.
But now I'm going to forget what I was even talking about. Oh yeah, the dark side of Kratom. Again, I don't know. Like, we really haven't experienced it. But kind of what scared me off of it at one point, and I stopped doing any form of it for like 8 months, was we had a friend who was like severely addicted and was taking like between 20 and 30 grams a day, and had weaned himself slowly down to like basically the amount that I was taking on a daily basis, which is like 2 capsules. And he was like, if I don't do those 2 capsules, I go into fucking the worst withdrawals. And I was like, what? like I had no clue about this. Because like in our history of using that stuff, it's been like, oh, we're going out. Like, let's take a couple of those. It's like 10 p.m. and we're going out for the night. Like, that'll help me stay awake and be
We
a little
have
bit
like a call
social.
that's at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and you're like, I got nothing to give.
Yeah, totally.
Or I mean, for a long time we were doing it for every podcast.
Oh yeah, forget about it.
Full disclosure, we are only on matcha tea today.
Yeah, and acid microdoses.
Oh yeah.
What are you, crazy, Kaz? What are you, crazy? I haven't taken an acid microdose in so long. I think
I forgot.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I feel it, but I forgot too.
Yeah, we're meeting up with some friends later, so I figured, I was like, let's see how this goes. Let's see if I can introduce this. Like, again, it's not problematic to me. What's problematic to me, and I think everyone should take a look at this. What's problematic to me is nicotine and compulsively smoking weed. And compulsively smoking weed is only a problem because I don't even fucking feel it. You know what I'm saying?
So do you have a similar thing like with the nicotine where like you're not chasing or trying to stave off being so, I don't know, like a level of consciousness, so you just keep smoking through it? Like if you smoke earlier in the day, you're going to smoke all day. Because I feel like there's some days that you don't smoke at all. It all depends. I mean,
Yeah.
you got on a trip in the last, I don't know, 6 months or maybe year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know.
You got on a trip in the last 6 months, maybe since I've known you.
Well, maybe more
What's the
so.
question?
I mean, do you feel similarly, like if you were to smoke or dab first thing in the morning? I mean, now that you're not dabbing or doing anything,
It would fuck my day up.
yeah, it's just like it puts it at a pace that doesn't have you fixing the dryer. Let's put it that way.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, totally. And I'm trying a thing where I'm seeing how life feels, and I'm seeing how a day feels, and seeing what my focus is like, and seeing what boredom feels like, and I haven't been bored, so that's one thing. But yeah, it would fuck my day up to take a dab right away, and it's not like I was doing that. I mean, what I mean by right away, I mean 4 hours into my day. But again, you're just like you're trying to then keep that level of dopamine.
Four
And
hours
it's a
into your
fool's errand.
4 hours into your day is noon.
Yeah. Is that crazy?
No, I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I would say 4 hours into most people's day is noon.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I'm
and
not.
I'm
I'm
like,
just
all
saying.
right, cool, time to hit this dab and tap in.
Strapping for the ride of your life.
Strap on that jammy pack. Fuel it up and I'm gone. And yeah, it's my chemical macabre just come over me and give me every excuse to just fuck about, which is a lot of what a life of a filmmaker can be, quite honestly.
It's conducive.
Very it's so conducive that I need to see what it's like to not do it for a while. But yeah, all this stuff about Kratom was like really wild. The doses people are on. We've
Well,
never taken the type of doses that people are addicted to.
I know it can cause, I believe, liver damage or kidney damage or some sort of organ damage in high doses, and so there's a concern with that. But where people, obviously, withdrawal is a big concern, having to keep up, hitting a certain hour where a withdrawal is like a strong thing. But
Yeah.
was there anything else that people were saying, giving it, attributing devil-like qualities to it?
Really, the withdrawals. People love how they feel on it. A lot of people use it to get through the work week. And, there's some guys saying, it makes me the man I wish I could be. That kind of stuff.
Sounds like what a drinker says.
Yeah, yeah. But really, withdrawals and people talking about, like, the withdrawals being worse than, like, OxyContin. Like, people saying, like, I was addicted to Oxy. And the withdrawals on Kratom last much longer. But again, like, everyone's talking about... like they're talking about concentrates, so I don't even know how much you're getting when you're messing with that stuff. The people were saying, like, when you're just hooked on the leaf and stem part of it, it's hard to even get that amount in your system.
No,
that would cause
when
that.
we've had friends who have had to take like 8 grams a day or whatever,
Or 8 at a time.
8 at a time, like seeing what they would have, like, I think what's in the pill is disgusting. Like, if you don't drink enough water when you take that pill, you'll like burp up like dry air of like the dust, and it tastes so rank.
Yeah. I mean, truly, anything that makes you feel that good, you got to take with a grain of salt.
You gotta be suspicious.
You got to be, but also, like, choose your battles. That's kind of where I'm at, Like, I'm not opposed to Kratom because I'm not a Kratom addict, really. But on these message boards, anyone that has ever taken it is an addict, according to these guys. You know what I mean? They're hardcore, like, warning everyone with peace and love, don't go down this path.
Well, yeah, don't get cocky and think, because you can get very easily, even as we have habitually, into like two a day, which to us seems like nothing, but I don't want. That's why
It's a gram.
That's why I don't drink coffee.
It's why we don't drink coffee.
Because I don't like, if I drink coffee 3 days in a row, that the fourth day I'll have a headache, like withdrawals almost.
Or just a day that's not on par with those other days. It's like, why do that to yourself? Try to get used to the droning mundanity of life.
Well, because you are the man you wish you could be on coffee. You know what I mean? For me, it's not coffee.
Yeah, for me, it's not coffee, but I see how it could be for people.
Totally.
Just like energized and talkative, and maybe it helps people focus. To me, it does all the opposite.
If you have kids, you're sleep deprived, you're literally having that much exhaustion on a daily basis is like unbearable. I don't blame people at all. I mean, it makes sense that coffee, when you have a shoot that starts at 6 a.m. and you didn't get enough sleep, you're like, your brain literally doesn't feel like it works if you're that tired. And then you drink coffee and you're like, okay, there I am.
Yeah. Well, and also now we're like, we're in an economy and a culture where it's like your literal competition. You're the people that you're out there competing with for jobs, for, whatever it may be, are on this stuff. They're on coffee, they're on Adderall, they're on probably Kratom. They're doing whatever they have to do to get ahead. And I'm not saying it's not smart, but that's what you're up against. So
that's how I felt with the SATs. I was like, these fucking jerk-offs, they're all on Adderall, and I'm having to do this on the natch.
Yeah, forget about it.
And I just was stupid. I was like, okay, I'm going to paint my nails bright pink, which I never do. And I found it so distracting during the whole test.
Why did you paint your nails bright pink?
I don't know. Some article I read about how it helps you concentrate.
Oh, man.
Like, I'm just stupid shit. I'm sorry. That's like, when I think about it, I'm like, I'm so stupid. But I did pretty good on my SATs, so whatever. Screw everyone.
Yeah. I didn't. I got just shy of 1100 when it used to be based out of 1600.
All I know
I got
is
like 1090, and then I took it again. I'm like, I need to do way better than this. And I got the exact same score. I'm like, that's it. That's my level.
I got 700 on math, which I was pretty proud of.
That's rad.
And then I don't know, like 640 or something on 620 or 640 on the reading part, which I'm surprised I passed that at all, honestly. I'm like, I can't read. Not sure.
No one ever taught me.
No one ever taught me. I've lost concentration already.
Yeah, but like reading about all this stuff, because it ain't just Kratom. I mean, that's one of the paths. That's one of the pathways that leads these young men astray. But reading this one thread and people talking about the addictions that people face, a lot of it is alcohol, obviously. A lot of it's alcohol and nicotine. Those seem to be the one. Coffee rarely comes up. I don't even think people question that as something like maybe I should try without, But I think what you were saying about coffee the other day that I thought was so funny, you're like, I'm too white for this shit.
I am too white. I really
like
believe
you can
that.
literally like look at our skin and tell like we're not cut out for that jungle juice. I can't handle it.
I'm definitely not. Because how I know that is because if I eat pineapple, my mouth bleeds.
It literally does. I've seen it. Like you break out in canker sores in your mouth. Like in like 2 pieces of pineapple, you're like, I can have 1, but if you have 2, it's like
two's pushing it, 3's bloody.
Yeah, imagine what that's doing to your gut biome. Your butt biome.
Exactly. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm supposed to eat kale, apples, and potatoes.
I think that
honestly,
given the shade of our skin, we're not supposed to eat food that casts shadows when it's grown. It's supposed to be pulled from the earth.
I'm not getting to hold that nightshade paranoia again.
No.
I can't do
God. Yeah. I mean, well, that's the other thing. It's like you got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. You have to realize this is like what I'm talking about is figuring out how to work with your psyche, your addiction habits, and your body, and maybe your fucking ancient DNA. Because, coffee ain't for me. A lot of these citrusy fruits, like, they ain't for me. An apple works.
Oh, no. Yeah, pineapple. Or no, sorry. I already said pineapple. Grapefruit. Remember, I go around being like, it gives me dry eyes. But I really feel like when I eat, like, a lot of grapefruit, I get, like, around my eyes, like, super dry. Yeah. And raisins and, sweet potatoes, believe it or not.
Well, but like, I mean, I think it's
and
cute.
Cinnamon.
I think it's cute because I think at some point you really learn to listen to your body and have it so dialed in that you'll notice stuff like that. I think a lot of people are not even noticing those things. And like, even like we were dating Mare at the time when you started realizing some of this stuff, and she would laugh her ass off at you. But it's like, you're a jungle jaguar. Of course you can handle fucking pots of coffee at a time.
You got Italian blood. You got something closer to the equator than me.
Yes, exactly. And the same thing with sun. Like you can't handle sun. It's not for you. And it's good because like it keeps you looking young. Like I think you haven't gotten a lot of sun on your face in this life.
I'm trying to find the balance of like not being scared of the sun, but also realizing that, there's certain times a day that a vampire like myself should stay hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, but
What are we even talking about?
No, I know what we're talking about. So you have alcohol, which everyone should quit or take a hard look at what they're doing. I mean, again, there is ethnic backgrounds that can handle it a little bit more, and their body
Who?
can process it. I don't know, Czechoslovakians, maybe. I just read that they're the people that drink the most beer in the world, so I'm like, they must be cut out for it. I don't know. Germanic cultures, I have no idea. I don't know, but it's poison. It's not good for you. It's not helping. But that and nicotine is a big one. But the elephant in the room and all of these threads, and finally, there's always some bold person who just goes out and says it. They're like, it's porn, y'all. Let's get
Yeah.
down and dirty.
Get down and dirty.
Let's talk about what's really, really, truly not just affecting us, but might be affecting the course of humanity. And so I had to take a deep dive into this. And by deep dive, I mean I pulled up
all the porn you could find.
I pulled up all the porn I could find, and I just started watching it. And I was like, really? I said, hold the line. Don't. But no, I pulled up like an Andrew Huberman thing. Like he did like an hour-long lecture about it, and had AI break it down.
Good.
Just so I could just read it by bullet points, and I don't have to listen to that guy, because I think he's probably full of shit in a lot of ways too. Because like he goes like, preaching all this purity. I'm like, you're on gear, dude. Like you're up to something that you're not telling all these young men that are following your protocols. So, but I was like, let's see what he has to say about porn, and there were some really interesting things in there, and I've talked about some of them before, and just my own research is just like it's fucking with you. It's fucking with your desire systems, and it's fucking with your hormones.
It's like a very fine line, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it can titillate you a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a fine line. Like, there's all this like AI porn, and I'm like, obviously, bad girl. But like, all this shit's coming up about AI porn, so I Google AI porn.
Next thing you know, you're drenched.
No, but you deep fake it, and you're like, whoa, like you want to see what's out there, and you're like, oh, this is a little tantalizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big confession. I could probably go to jail for that, honestly.
What are you talking about?
AI porn is going to be like a big bad thing.
You think so?
I mean, they're going to be criminalizing it pretty. I don't know how you can control it.
It's been going on since I've known about the internet. You
Yeah.
know, fake Christina Aguilera porn back in the day. It wasn't well done, but it existed.
I think there has to be like a balance where you can't private usage. You shouldn't be able to get in trouble for private consumption, but distribution of someone else's likeness, that's like goes into defamation territory.
Interesting. That's
It's like if you want
probably a good way of looking at it.
Taylor Swift nudes, you have to make them yourself with an AI bot and keep them to yourself. You can't distribute them.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting, because isn't she trying to do a defamation lawsuit against some
I don't
deepfake
know.
company?
I think that's probably where it's going to head. I'm not sure what's going on with it.
Yeah. Well, really, if she wants to get anywhere in terms of controlling it, she has to sue some deep fake company.
Well,
or
the problem
AI
is
generator
the only
or
reason
something
I
like
started
that.
looking at AI nudes was because it's in the zeitgeist. I wouldn't even think about this stuff at all.
Literally,
I'm like, just let it pass. Like, just don't even bring attention to it.
literally the same thing.
The
for
people
me.
who want to see you
I
nude are
wouldn't
going to
even-
figure this out.
I've never thought about seeing Taylor Swift nude because I have my own version of her. But like literally, like I've never thought about it until I saw this headline, and then I was like, I typed in like Taylor Swift deepfake, but I couldn't find anything. I don't know.
We're so cut from the same cloth.
I really don't know how to even find porn.
I know. I didn't really. I think honestly, you can't really find it because she's like so powerful that a lot of it gets. I don't even care about seeing her. I was just like, kind of, what's in this territory?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of Anne Hathaway stuff. It's interesting.
Why bother? There's so much Anne Hathaway stuff from movies she's done.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the thing that really hit me hard when I was like reading through this Huberman thing was that he was saying how it's affecting our desire systems to the point where men aren't setting life goals the way that they used to. And he didn't make this,
You're
like,
extrapolating this.
well, he didn't make like a grand proclamation like I'm about to make, but like, where's all this going? Because who's immune? Who's immune from it? Like, because like I'm saying, it's kind of like in these threads, which like to me is like just a good core sample of what's going on out there, and it's usually amongst men. Not a lot of women chiming in with their addiction habits, whatever they are. I think they keep
There
them to
women are
themselves.
definitely addicted to porn. It is not a one gender
Yeah,
addiction.
but it's who's immune from it unless you've taken a hard look at it. And it's kind of like coffee in that way. It doesn't come up. Like, it's almost like everyone dances around it. They're coming up with stuff that they're addicted to, but like they're not mentioning the two main things. It's like coffee and porn. And it's messing with our desire systems on the level that men aren't setting life goals for themselves the way that they used to.
Huberman said this isn't
Yeah,
just
yeah. He said no, but like my interpretation of that is like, oh, we're screwed. We're screwed. Technology has come so far that it's coddling us in a way that is preventing us from kind of taking the next steps in our evolution. But instead, it's going to push off of us so it can evolve. Because trust me, technology is not going to struggle with addiction. It's not stuck in a body. It's not going to, its addiction is to being plugged in and having electricity or whatever. But it's not going to struggle in a way. So I think our technological advances are going to hold back humanity. And we've birthed a new thing that is going to take over. And I feel like seeing all the chemical addictions people struggle with, and then the technological addictions people struggle with, like those coming together in a perfect storm, I think has rendered us useless to each other. Not useless. I think we're still very powerful beings, but it's starting to render us so useless to each other that you're seeing a despair epidemic, and you're seeing a lot more suicides. And like, there's a lot of ways to measure this, but I think people are just feeling severely disconnected, which brings us back around to why you're addicted to these things to begin with. And yeah, you really got to zoom out to realize that. It's like all these things are just playing whack-a-mole with a disturbing trend where we're not as reliant on each other anymore. And I think that was a good thing that kept us together.
Well, you got to
It kept communities together. It kept families together. It kept friendships together. And it's just becoming, we're becoming a little bit more useless to each other. And it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've read about, people who have a lot, who can pay for everything. They never have to ask for favors. There's like becomes a disconnect where you're less compassionate because you never are going to need anything return, because you can always just buy for whatever you need, buy whatever service you need, that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's interesting. And basically it sounds like what you're saying is because you're able to get self-induced dopamine hit of your sexuality through porn or whatever, you don't need to put the effort into wooing a woman or a man.
Well, and the effort into wooing a woman is kind of what made civilization happen in a lot of ways.
Yeah. That's what, sometimes that's what a musician, I feel like a lot of musicians are a little on the shorter side, because it's like you become a rock star. Like, height doesn't matter when you're a rock star or an actor or whatever it is. It's like that preference towards height is like becomes a moot point. So it's
true.
A lot of times not being so tall is like an advantage, because you're kind of like, you kind of got to build your height up, and you got to do with other things on top of your height.
Iggy Pop is 5'7".
Exactly.
What? This blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That blew my mind.
And he's a sex god.
Oh yeah. Like maybe the defining rock and roll sex god.
And I think this is also like more attractive men are probably, I don't know, or less attractive. Like, I've heard people say that certain people, if they're compensating, are better at sex or better at wooing or better at certain aspects of life, or have more of a motivation to be the musician, because you want female attention.
Yeah.
But if you are jerking off 4 times a day to some AI bot with a fleshlight, if female attention, who cares?
Yeah. No. The male species, like, really, I think benefited. I think the whole world benefited from the male species having a little bit of a chip on our shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like we got to do things. We got to build things. We have to have a plan. We got to,
We got to show that we can provide.
Yeah.
We got to show
Yeah.
that we're strong.
Yeah.
That we're capable, that we're smart, that we're savvy.
Yeah, I think in the same way that like there used to be that stereotype about like a pothead. It still is a stereotype. Like potheads are just like you're couch locked. You don't care. You're not motivated. This and that. Yeah, because you're smoking this chemical that makes you not care and relax. So many people are having that with porn, and they're totally content being being stuck in that cycle. And
it's a hard one to break.
It's such a hard one to break. We've had friends, I'm not going to name who, but we've had friends who, spent most of their adult life as bachelors, and then they meet a girl and they're like, okay, we're doing this. We're going to be moving in together. And they're so weary about it. And they're like, I understand we're moving in together. I'm still going to need a few hours to myself, wink, wink, after work to just fuck around. And it's like, you need a few hours to consume as much porn as your body's used to getting because you're going to go through withdrawals. If not.
I've even been addicted, I believe.
Yeah, no, I know.
To porn.
Yeah.
Because where I'm like, I'm not going to look at it anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to look at it anymore. I'm not going to look. Oh, there I'm looking at it again. Because it can give you like a quick fix that, I mean, this is years ago at this point. But
No, look, I'm fine with it. Like,
no,
look, you got to do what you got to do. We ain't judging. I'm not judging.
Well, that's why I'm confessing that this
Yeah.
AI deepfake sent me down a rabbit hole where I was like, I know
Did it make you horny?
It did. That's why I was like, it's a fine line because it did activate an aspect of my sexuality, but it's like it's with diminishing returns the way nicotine is.
Yeah.
It's like you get that first initial hit and then.
But this is where like we'll start to sound like how alcoholics sound. I think Huberman even said this.
Wait, how do alcoholics sound?
Where you're justifying it.
Right, yeah.
You're just, well, I mean, I don't drink as much as my friends, or, I don't get blacked out, or I've never gotten a DWI or whatever, but it's like, oh, you drink alcohol every day? Like, I think Huberman even talked about, like, I think he specified porn in combination with ejaculation. So
as long as you don't take it to the finish line.
Yeah, I think that would be one way of taking a hard look at at your behaviors. But like, I don't know, if you're using it to kind of get the juices flowing for something that I'm going to be the beneficiary of, sure, go for it. I don't give a damn. It's just, like, I don't know. I think everything I'm talking about.
No, but even as I was looking at it, the first time I looked at it, it was like, ooh, very exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
really, even though it's fake.
Within the scope of an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it in here because I was like on Reddit or whatever, saw all this stuff going on. I was like, what is going on in the deep fake world? I looked at it was very exciting. And then I was like, whoa, this is actually getting me aroused. And so then I went into the bedroom because you were like cleaning up and stuff, and I was like, let me look at it some more. And it stopped working. Not that I wasn't still aroused, but I knew that I was feeding off this initial arousal.
Right.
I wasn't getting new arousal. So it was interesting. It's like there's like the exciting new aspect of it of like, whoa, you're seeing this, and then you're like, and then it just gets weird. But for me, I'm like, I can't tell the difference between deep fake porn and real porn at this point. It's gotten so good that you could tell me that it's and to me it doesn't get more I'm not more excited that it's a particular actress that I know. I personally don't care about any of it.
You know what's kind of crazy is the evolution of, like, when we first met, like, we bonded. One of the many, many things we bonded over is like, well, we both like amateur porn, and not just like amateur, but just like what feels like crudely recorded, homemade, like very homemade.
Documentarian. So I mean, what's the big surprise?
Exactly. Here? Yeah, exactly. And it was we both would seek out the same kind of porn, and that, there eventually bled into like where we would jerk off to porn together.
Yeah.
There was a small window.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but at some point we gave that up.
We made this movie Cam Girls, and we're like watching girls jerk off all the time. We're like, okay, we're over it.
We became completely desensitized to it, and like we never had a moment where we're like, we're not doing this anymore. We're not looking at this anymore. It just kind of naturally went away. But look what happened when it did. We started thruppling around for like compulsively.
Yeah, no,
I don't think we've ever even talked about this or taken a look at that, but
yeah.
Which like I don't know.
No, my
like,
life became real life porn. Like,
Yes.
like my life became like, I was like, I like,
There's nothing that we could search out that could scratch.
I'm like literally watching porn.
Yeah.
Like I can step away
Yeah.
for a second and be like, here's a scene and I'm getting to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to the point where it's almost like, not that it's not an exciting thing, but it is like it becomes less. It's like there's
It all has diminishing returns.
it all has diminishing returns. It really does.
Yeah.
Where because there's something that like feels like bad and taboo about it that feels very exciting. And when you throuple as much as we have and do, you're just like it's just like another day at the office. You know what I mean? Not in a way that's not.
No, it's still very exciting.
It's still very exciting.
At least
but
it's a human connection. Like I think that like when we gave up this addiction, the universe filled it in with like a real life version of that to get us over the hump. You know, and it's like, hey, you're sexual people. You know, you should use your sexuality here. You know, when it rains, it pours. So it was like a very intense period of our life. But it led to some of the best times we've ever had, best connections, best friends, best memories, all of this stuff.
No,
so,
and it's a beautiful thing. I think, but I think there was a time where it was like 3 people was more exciting than 2 people, and now I'm just 3 people is just as exciting as 2 people.
Yeah.
I think that's more what I'm trying to say.
Of course, yeah.
No, I don't know what to think about what's to come of us as a people.
Well, that isn't that a perfect example though? We were using technology to fill in a hole. And then when we stopped relying on it, people began to fill that in. And you know, yeah, you might introduce like a whole nother mess of things into your life, but that's how I want to evolve. I want to evolve through human relationships. I think that's why we're here. I don't think we're here to isolate and give ourselves, you know, self-induced little dopamine things left and right. Like I don't think that's why we're here. At least you and I don't know. It just feels like the human race is kind of here to overcome some shit and figure out how to come together and not like, you know, become overly reliant on technological advances. And
I mean, it's getting so good though. That's kind of been like social media. Social media has gotten so good, you know, the way you can connect with each other and see into each other's lives and so it's very appealing and also just like addictive. The way food has become so addictive. Like there's a perfect way. Being the daughter of a brand researcher or marketing consultant, you know what I mean? For a long time, I've had like a front row seat to. There's focus groups about this stuff.
Yeah,
like
right.
How do we hold on, attract our client, and then hold on to them?
Yeah. So everyone is trying to produce an addictive product.
Mm-hmm.
And once you realize that, I think it can make you just a little bit more aware of the thing that we're stuck in and start to slowly but surely extricate yourself from it. Because I promise you, if you start to extricate yourself from some of those harmful addictions that are in your life, and we're talking about somewhat innocuous ones, but as long as if you're starting that process, your life's going to get better.
But I think what you're
saying... It will
saying
fill in with better things.
Is even the innocuous ones, the ones that just seem like part of the 20th century, like porn or whatever, that you're like, oh, well, there can be problematic consequences to an over-reliance on this way of getting your rocks off.
Absolutely.
And
I might not be out there seeking out hardcore porn, but pretty much the only reason I go on Instagram at this point is because the algorithm knows. It's like
you love cute girls.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and they always put up hot things.
Yeah, and you're like fire emoji. You're like, yes, more of this, please.
Yeah, and I mean, like they're it's not like random people either. It's like people that I'm friends with on there or whatever, and I love it. You know, I love it, so I reward them. But like, they're caught in a thing too. You know what I mean? Like, why are they putting this out there? Why are they doing this?
Because it's fun. It's self-expression. It's exciting.
Yeah, but in a way, they're trying to
get a little fire emoji.
Yeah, they want a little fire emoji.
So I think it's good. You don't hold them back.
Yeah, but the little fire emoji is replacing like a load that could produce human life and keep this whole thing going.
And I think that's good. I'm looking for civilization to fucking tap out.
Yeah.
No, I
We
don't
got to
know.
wind it down.
We gotta.
It's time for humanity to wind it down a little bit. Just turn this shit over
If
to the
we all have to
machines.
get out off this planet a little sooner because there's no one to take care of us, so be it.
If this is our final chapter, it's such an embarrassing one. It's just like we're all just like drug-addled, fucking addicted nonsense.
Well, we were talking about how, with so much, I don't know how to say this in a way that's.
You say it, I'll try to convert it into something eloquent.
Thank
That's
you.
what we do for each other.
Well, we're just talking about how people across the world are going hungry and stuff, and you were just like, look at how, like, the optics of how gluttonous America is. Even though Americans are a victim of,
Predatory corporations.
Yeah, predatory, exactly. Capitalism, consumption, processed foods, excess salt, sugar, fat, fake stuff, and it creates
America's like the petri dish for this this wild experiment in unfettered monopoly capitalism with zero regulations. Like we're the canary in the coal
when
mine.
you were saying the amount of debt that Americans can carry.
Yeah.
Like, it's just think of the gluttonous in that aspect.
Yeah.
People can't even buy food places, and it's like, but we're allowed to be X amount of dollars in debt.
Well, when you have an economy that's based on endless growth, and it's required by law that these corporations go for the most profits possible. When you have an economy that's based on it, you're going to have a citizenry that's based on it. And yeah, endless growth in an individual American's life is not a pretty thing. It's you're overweight, you're exhausted, you're overworked, you're overstimulated, and you're in debt in a way that no one else in the world can even compare it to. Because there is a predatory middleman in every situation. I'm talking about shit you need to get by. You need housing. There's a predatory middleman there. You need education. Oh my Lord, is there a predatory middleman there? You need health, mental and physical health. Oh Lord, that's the vultures that are circling around those people. You need food. Oh my God, we have totally, other countries won't allow stuff that we eat on a daily basis. They won't even allow it into their country. So.
Oh my God, blue taquitos or whatever, Takis.
Yeah, we were in the grocery store the other day, and you were like, what do you think that there's blue, what are they called?
Takis or
something. They're like Flamin' Hot Cheetos, but they're blue.
Bright blue.
Bright blue. And you're like, what do you think this is going to scan at? Because we have an app that tells you what's in these things.
YUKA, Yuka.
Yeah, Yuka app. You should get this and scan every product that you get at the grocery store. You're like, what is this going to scan at? And I was like, that ain't going to scan high. That's going to be at like 12 or 13. And you're like, I think it's going to be like 7 or 8. 1. 1 out of 100. I haven't even seen something that low.
But no, oh my God, I almost want to tell you, like, this is the kind of additives.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That are in American food. This is the kind of shit. Hazardous additives.
That they're selling at the checkout counter.
Blue heat Takis.
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Okay.
Avoid this product, by the way.
9 additives to avoid, 3 of which are hazardous. Brilliant Blue. Brilliant Blue FCF is a synthetic blue dye. It is believed to contribute to attention deficit disorder with or without hyperactivity. It may also be genotoxic, toxic to the genome, and cytotoxic, toxic to the cells, potentially. The next one, Tetratiaria butylhydroquinone. Yeah, if you can't pronounce it.
Don't eat it if you can't pronounce it.
This additive is believed to be mutagenic, which means that it is capable of altering the structure of genetic material. Certain studies
What?
We need to consume this because, blue is exciting. Certain studies on rats also show a potential carcinogenic effect on the stomach and thyroid gland. It may weaken our immune system. How about monosodium glutamate? Glutamate. Consumption of glutamate may cause a variety of symptoms, including nausea, migraine, skin flushing, hot flashes, etc. Moreover, glutamate may contribute to weight gain, obesity, and diabetes risk. Finally, glutamate is believed to play a role in the development of neurodegenerative and autoimmune disorders. And those are just 3 of the fucking...
Many, many ingredients. Well, but
main
what,
ingredients.
yeah,
Not only many, but
yes, the
main.
main ingredients.
It's mostly blue dye.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the sad thing is like our way of life here will make its way into other cultures. It already is,
I
and
mean,
it already has.
Coca-Cola, and McDonald's, and
Yeah.
look at I just
Philip Morris.
that I always used to not understand why everyone was so against globalization. I'm like, how could globalization be bad? Like, it really took going to school
Yeah.
and I still really understanding exactly. It's like the outsourcing of predatory capitalism
Yeah.
and the monoculturing of
The whole
the
world.
whole modern way of life.
Yeah.
But I was like, how could this be bad? Like, we're more connected. But it's not like that at all, unfortunately.
No,
It
it's
just,
not. It's about cheap labor.
I mean, blue zones are turning into red zones. Or I don't know I don't know what an unhealthy zone is.
We'll
but
call it a red zone. Whatever.
no, but these cultures that have had like really long lives and sustainable farming as part of their culture and society are now things get swapped so quickly for convenience and.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but that's
It's
the whole
not
thing.
convenient, though. No, it's not convenient to have freaking cancer. It's not
Yeah.
convenient to
But
be
it
dealing
is,
with
though.
thyroid issues.
But it is, though, for all the predatory industries that run this place.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to see through it, it starts to really scare you and make you not believe in anything. It can really, it can lock you up. It can jam you up a little bit, starting to think about this stuff. Because when you realize that, the quote-unquote healthcare industry needs people to be sick to produce record profits.
It's not a healthcare industry. I feel like everything just
Well, that's what I said.
semantics. Yeah, no. It's sick care because they're only treating people who are sick. They're not saying, hey, healthcare would be like, everybody, here's vitamin D. Or, we're.
The second a pandemic breaks out where vitamin D is the solution, everybody gets tablets in the mail. And everybody gets a protocol and like, hey, here's how we could turn it around real quickly. But it's way too profitable to have a whole populace on a downward spiral.
I mean, yeah, because what is it? There's like some breakthrough cancer drug that was publicly funded the research, and now it's like a couple $100,000 at least.
$300,000.
$300,000. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and what I was saying.
America just needs to implode.
Well, it is. It is.
I don't want to root for our own destruction because I feel like that's just so horrible, but
I root for the destruction of the systems that we're beholden to. The people here are incredible and have been incredibly resilient in the face of us being the canaries in the coal mine for this kind of predatory behavior. We used to have protections. A generation ago, we had protections. They've completely gone away, and it's all in lieu of endless growth and CEOs' compensation going through the roof.
French fries, McDonald's French fries, everywhere else is like oil, salt, potato.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's oil, salt, potato, bicarbonate, sodium,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
it's fucking poison.
Yeah, and they push us to the brink, and then here's a miracle product, Ozempic. We figured it out. We're gonna come and save the day with $1,000 treatment that you're gonna need to take the rest of your life. If you stop taking it, all those habits are gonna come flooding
You
back.
have to stab yourself and
Yeah.
inject some weird thing into your body. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? What are we even talking about? Like, I'm grateful porn exists for people
Yeah,
who
of
might
course.
not have a relationship. I'm not a purist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a purist. I'm not like.
Oh, well, hell no. Look how we just conducted ourselves for the past 12 years. We're crazy.
And I'm still conducting myself like that.
Of course.
I want the right to look at porn
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. Like,
Of course.
no government is going to make it so. I mean, you just make more porn more desirable if you say you can't look at it, which is kind of funny. You know?
Yeah.
But this is not to be a purist, is what I'm saying. I don't know what I was saying though. What are we talking about? What's going on?
Babe.
No, I'm just kidding.
Did you eat some of those blue Takis? Well, no. You know what? Something I started thinking about is, remember we talked about this many episodes ago, but like that video I showed you from the 80s, where it's like a bird's eye view on a classroom, and there's a bunch of kids like spazzing out this and that, and then they change the lights from like this fluorescent like white color lights to like something more tungsten and subdued, and the kids calm the fuck down.
Oh,
When I
yeah.
walk around our neighborhood, everyone has those bright white lights. My parents had them upstairs.
We say, how can you, as people who like a vibe,
Just the vibe,
how
yeah.
can you
How
live
can
like
you live like
this?
this? But there might be a physiological thing to it.
Totally. I mean,
You know, and when you realize that no one's looking out for us and nobody would put a stop to it if that was the case.
trust no light bulb.
I'm just saying you can't really trust anything or anyone. And I think like we quickly kind of like, who knows where the poison's coming from, but it might be coming from all angles. So this is what I'm saying. Like I'm at a stage in my life where I'm like, let me question these things so I don't end up any further down the road of like, all this has to do for us with continuing to want to practice our art. And if we want to practice our art, we barely have health insurance. We can't afford a medical calamity. You know, we can't afford to be under the weather. We can't afford to be depressed. So we have to take it upon ourselves to figure out how the human body works again. Realize I get one shot at being Sean. Let me make the best of it. I have to honor the temple that Sean's stuck in. So, how do you do that? And part of it is by questioning things on the biggest level. And once you start to see through it, you can start to look out for yourself a little bit better.
And without, there's like a dance, like it's a fine line, because you don't want to just succumb to like paranoia, like everything's making me sick, everything's against me.
No, this is pride. This isn't paranoia.
No, I know. I'm
This
just
isn't paranoia.
clarifying.
Look, I was just addicted to fucking some corporate product. These stupid Zins, I was just addicted to them for 3 years, and many things before that. And the dumbest food ever until I met you. I don't think I ever had a glass of water till I met you. I was just drinking Snapples and Gatorades, whatever. I was proud of myself for not like being into Pepsi and Coke and Mountain Dew and stuff, but I was doing it with Arizona iced tea. Remember those Lipton Brisk teas? Oh my Lord. I mean, so many tasty products that are poisoning you. And keeping your consciousness at a level where you don't question things. And you just go through and you say, oh, of course life is feeling worse. I'm getting older. And it's like, it doesn't need to be like this.
I should be feeling better.
Yeah, exactly. Life can feel and should feel like an awakening. An awakening is happening, and that's what I feel like that's what your temple is designed to do, but it's being blocked out in so many ways because we have predatory industries controlling this country and our culture and the world.
I think what we're talking about and what we have been talking about in our relationship and in our life is how do we divest,
That's it.
And I think
Exactly.
divest in like how we make money, what kind of work we do, what we consume, what we invest in,
How we even think about living.
Yeah.
The idea that you need to grow up and get the fuck away from your parents, get as far away from them as possible. That's a fallacy. That's a farce.
That's because they want everyone to have their own house, have their own
Yes,
car, have their own
exactly.
oil bill, and
Exactly.
and need to buy a new couch and
Yeah.
a new this and a new that, and
Yeah.
it's
My parents built this house for 4 kids to be in. And there's no one here. For 20 years, nobody's been here. It's just been them with Katie. And not only is it a waste of space and resources, we're out there busting our ass in ways that we would never even fucking conceive of to keep up with rent and this and that when they actually needed us here. And I will tell you, they're the most difficult people you could possibly try to live with. I'm not kidding. I'm really not exaggerating. You know that.
No,
And I'm not trying to compel you to talk shit, but they're
mm-hmm.
extremely difficult to deal with. But it's worth it. It's evolving my soul. It's worth figuring out how to work with them. It's worth figuring out how to make my dad less anxious or make my mom less rageful. And it's not like we can change them, but we can change the vibe. We can change the lights.
We can literally change the light
We literally
bulbs.
change the lights. We change the food that's in this house. Everyone eats clean in this house.
Yep.
So it has helped a lot.
I think
Katie's
so.
seizures have tremendously dropped since we've been in her life more. That's what she needs. She doesn't know how to explain that. That's what's at the heart of all this. We started taking each other for granted. And it's fucked up. And it led us down the wrong path. And what are we going to do? Invest more in technologies? What are we going to get these Apple VR things so we can be more in our own world? What are we going to get? More Ozempics, more fucking whatever.
Or even kind of like this very generous, beautiful ally that you had in your life, weed.
Yeah.
I think you realized that you were instead of being here and feeling it, you were medicating being here. So you were also just like a little step away, like, don't harsh my mellow. Like,
Yeah.
I got to keep it chill. Like, I'm living with my parents. Like, I got,
Yeah.
And I think that since you've stopped, like, look, you're.
Yeah, that's what life is. You got to take one on the chin and then
Kinda.
realize like how to get up from that. And it teaches you resiliency. Moving back in with your parents at 40 plus years old on the balls of your ass, like, it's fucking mortifying. Or is it? Or is it what we should be doing?
I think to you, though, what would be more mortifying is working for a company trying to fucking push a product that you have no belief in.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's like, much more mortifying to me than living with my parents who need me, my sister who literally needs us. We need to be there for them. And I think dropping some of this bullshit is allowing for us to do that. You have an important call.
It's your mom. She probably wants to go out.
Where does she want to go? Do we need to do that in the middle of a podcast?
Yeah. I want her to feel like she can go out to the store and that we'll be home.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's like literally part of us being home is like these moments where your mom like wants to not feel like she has to make sure that Katie's okay and that we can be here.
And like I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Like, thank God for my sister Caitlin. She is such an angel, and she started having seizures at 18 months old. She hasn't known a life without devastating epilepsy. She used to have 300 seizures a day. That was how I came up. I came up in a cauldron of chaos, the likes of which a lot of people don't know.
No, I've never spent a day that's instant. Like you were saying to me about my parents. Like my parents have never even, in the worst of their peak of getting divorced and fights and whatever, it was never as intense as it is here on a mellow day. On a good day, yeah.
And that's that's part of the trauma that comes along with epilepsy, and we need a support group. Like we need other people that have been through this to like reach out, or we need to find them on the internet or something.
Yeah.
Because but thank God for Katie. She's kept our family together. She's kept my values pure. If that makes sense.
Well, we were watching this crazy movie last night, and we don't necessarily have to get into it, but we
can hop over to the Patreon and talk about it too. But we like tease it. There's the terrifying look of like we're gonna do a Patreon.
No, episode. I'm thinking. No, it's not that. I was just thinking about the best way for me to.
Yeah.
We watched Zone of Interest. The Zone of Interest. Jonathan Glazer's new movie. He did what?
He's the best. I'm like, you say his name and I'm like, God, how could somebody be that good?
He did Sexy Beast, which is insanely good.
Birth with Nicole Kidman.
I haven't seen that one.
We should rewatch that or watch it.
Yeah, I should watch that. And what was the other one that he's done? Oh,
Under the Skin.
Oh yeah, that one's intense.
With Scarlett Johansson.
That one's intense. Anyway, it follows basically Nazis and commanders and like a family who like lives on the other side of the wall of Auschwitz, and it's an extremely disturbing movie. But there was a scene in it that was like, Nazis having this moment in a grand area where the big, what do you call those things?
A ballroom?
A ballroom kind of place.
They're having like an extravagant party.
And it just reminded me. Because you've seen extravagant party like that, the Democrats, the Republicans, whoever it is, you just like, and I've never been uncomfortable in those spaces, and I never desire to get into a space like that.
No, they've made us extremely uncomfortable.
And I was like, this is why, because this is just such a pure look of what, like that amount of excess and wealth and,
while an ethnic cleansing is going on.
Yes. But that was just like the extreme example. There's always an ethnic cleansing going on. There's always the other side. There's always the other side of your excessive wealth and consumption.
Yeah.
is like excessive suffering and desperation.
Well, yeah, more than an ethnic cleansing, there's a class cleansing that's
Yeah,
going on
exactly.
throughout history, you know. And we're talking about it right now. If you have cancer and you want to live, 300,000. You don't
Yep.
have it? Bye.
Later.
See you later. Yeah, that movie was
But at
incredible.
least they're getting theirs. And
Yeah.
at least they have money for their kids and they're this and they're that and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? At least they're making money for the shareholders. And that's what was shareholders. That's what was so sick about this movie is how relatable their problems were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't like big stuff. It was like the little stuff of like where are we gonna live, you know, what do we need, you know, like little dramas and how we can get so on this trap of our own getting by that we forget the consequences of our excessive consumption habits and what are I don't know, you had better words for
well,
it.
it's what got me thinking about all this stuff and say, think about like the stereotype of an American to the rest of the world is like some fat animal, you know, and just think about like what that must be like to people who don't have access to as much as we have here. Like what that just the idea of that, it's crazy and it's getting worse, you know. Me and Laura were just talking about it the other day, like the episode of The Simpsons where Homer's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to eat whatever and just get out of control right now. At his peak of obesity, where he's wearing a muumuu and he can barely walk, he steps on the scale and he's 260 pounds. That was in 1990. You know, that was a parody. That was you know, like at you know, back in 1990, and like just think about how much worse it's gotten since then.
This is the way.
What we must seem like.
Yeah.
You know, but what they don't see is that we're victims of corporations who have enslaved us, and they steal all of our time and our effort, and they replace it with chemical and food and sex addictions.
Where you're medicating the stress of your work, of your bills,
of feeling disconnected from your work,
feeling disconnected, of being overworked, of not getting in a good sleep cycle. Like all of that can lead to like the most unhealthy way of being. But the word you had for it is like being duped. You're just being
we got duped
left and right.
Totally.
Insanely duped.
Yeah. And that's all of these chemicals and the porn and everything. That's all it's doing. It's duping your system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some analogy here with the shadow of the duck as opposed to the duck. There's something, I don't know. Fill in the blank. Whatever. Join us on the Patreon. We're going to keep talking.
Okay.
We're going to go to patreon.com/churchofchill where it's like a $2 buy-in. And you get all of our... and have a new addiction in your life, and it's us. But yeah, for $2, you get access to our Discord community and a bunch of bonus podcasts that we've put out, and our Church of Chill radio show, which we put out weekly. And I have a sick episode in my back pocket.
I bet you do.
Yes. So we're having fun. We'll go over there and we'll talk about this movie and whatever else comes up. But that's where we get a little bit more.
I don't know how much more personal we can talk about than getting into. Maybe we should flip these.
No, this is a good one. Well, it depends. I don't know. We have
just
been
say if we're
to
willing
do
to
that.
talk about that. Imagine what we're willing to talk about.
That's
on the Patreon.
Yes, exactly. If you already take us for the type of people that are extremely vulnerable, man, the Patreon is really where it's at, because that's where the homies are. So, and yeah, I just love when I see new people join the Discord and start contributing and seeing people make friends there. And I think right now the Discord is like it's like an avatar for something that could take place in real life. It's like, to me, it's like a waiting room for something that could take place in real life. Like if we ever got a bunch of money or if we ever got an investment.
There's so many people I know who have become friends through the Discord from DMing each other and being like, oh, I see that you're here and I'm going to meet up. Like, I don't know. I think we're just trying to be a portal for deeper connections, whether it happens through us or just through the space that we're holding. So
the highest honor of our life is to have a mycelial effect on human beings, is to realize how reliant we are on each other, to just give in to that and say, cool, well, let's go towards the others. Let's find the others. Let's find other people that share our interests.
We might not have the solution for us all being duped, but at least we have the awareness of it. So
the solution is coming together.
Come
together.
I don't know why I'm feeling very giggly today.
Well, you took a little micro for the first time this year.
Oh, yeah.
You keep forgetting.
Yes.
All right, cool. Join us on the Church of Chill Discord and whatever.
Whatever.
Patreon.com/Church of Chill. Peace, love, and magic.
Peace, love, and magic.
Yeah.